Today we are ranking every single Cosmere novel, novella, short story that I've read. For the most part, I've read almost every single thing Brandon Sanderson has put out, save like 1 or 2 short stories. So I think I'm relatively qualified to be able to give out this tier list and rank it fairly, because I have read everything. Now, Brandon Sanderson is my second favorite author of my second favorite series of all time. Did that make sense? Maybe he's my favorite author, but he hasn't written my favorite series. If you've seen my other videos, you know what it is. Lock Tomb, baby. Check it out. Anyway, as you can see, I have a tier list maker pulled up. It goes from S to C and then haven't read. I honestly don't think anything Brandon's written is below a C tier. Definitely not F. Maybe say D. I don't personally believe it. I almost didn't put C because I'm kind of a Brandon Glazer, and so I kind of just wanted to have B be the lowest tier. But you know, I'm gonna be a little bit harsher than I originally thought I was going to be. Let's get into this. Starting off, we have Allomancer Jack in the Pits of Elantia. I've actually never read this or listened to it, so I'm gonna have to put it in haven't read. I have clicked over it and the Arcanum Unbound audiobook little omnibus thing that I have on my phone, and I've started listening to it for like 10 minutes and then I just stopped. So I haven't read it. What can I say? I don't know why we started with that one. This is pretty out of order. So let's go ahead and do published order, I think. You guys down for that? This is completely unscripted, by the way. First, we got Elantris. I think Elantris is underrated. A lot of people don't like it, but I really do. I do like Elantris. I listen to the audiobook, and when you listen to an audiobook, it's a lot easier to go through the slower parts, in my opinion, because you can just kind of let it play. Not really as much of a thing when you're reading it. You have to like force yourself to pay harder attention, I guess. So maybe that's why it was a little bit easier for me and why I actually like it. I think Hrathen is a really good character. I love Hrathen, one of my top tier Cosmere characters. So I'm gonna put this in B. I think B tier is like a solid place to go. All right, next, what came after this? Was it Mistborn or Warbreaker? I think it was Mistborn. Mistborn book 1, I'm gonna put in A tier. I think maybe it's just like the nostalgia factor thing, okay? But the introduction to this magic system, I freaking loved. The heist part of it, I really liked. I think it's just such a good introduction to Brandon Sanderson as a whole. I don't think it's perfect, but that first book, I gotta put it in A tier. All right, next we have, where is it? The Well of Ascension. I also want to put this in A tier, but I don't know, dude. I think this had probably the slowest build up to the Sanderlanche out of the 3 books in the original Mistborn trilogy, and I do think that's going to bring it down to a B tier. I'm trying to be a little bit harsher, guys. I'm not trying to like glaze every single book. Instinctively, I wanted to put this in A tier, but I feel like I shouldn't, just for the sake of having some variety. I am going to put the Hero of Ages in A tier. I think the reveals that are just really jaw-dropping. The Well of Ascension had great jaw-dropping reveals as well, but that end fight scene where it's like Vin versus the freaking Inquisitors, that right there alone makes me put it in A tier. It was just so insane. All right, what came after this? I'm pretty sure after this is Warbreaker. Warbreaker, I think, is another A tier. I think it's a very solid book. The beginning of it, you know, the risque, weird kind of stuff between Ciri and Sebron kind of like threw me off my game, and I was like, what am I listening to right now? But as it went on, the core intrigue, you know, the introduction of Lightsong's character, the trials that Vivenna had to go through, this really brought me around. And then, you know, as the book went on, I started to get way more invested in Ciri and Sebron's story. So I think that it's an A tier book. I'm saving S tier for my freaking goats of my goats. You know what I mean? Frick, you know what? This is my goat S tier. Frick it. I really liked it. Oh, man. Okay, I'm gonna leave it S tier for now. I'm gonna leave it. Oh no, I'll put it in the middle of A tier between Mistborn and the Hero of Ages. All right, what do we have next? The Way of Kings, right? S tier. S tier introduction to a story. S tier introduction to the Cosmere. Okay, maybe not, because like in my opinion, Stormlight's the best thing to come out of the Cosmere. So once you read all the Stormlight archive, then everything else is like kind of a downgrade. It's like a little bit. This is one of my favorite books of all time. It's cozy. This is a cozy read for me. I read this when I'm stressed. It's so good. I love Kaladin. Kaladin changed my life. God tier world building, God tier characters, God tier pacing. I said it. Pacing's great. I hate me. Words of Radiance. Listen, I know what's about to happen. I'm so sorry for this. I'm gonna put you top of B tier. You know what? I'll put you bottom of A. Bottom of A. I'm sorry. Words of Radiance is my least favorite Stormlight Archive book. I know this is probably gonna like invalidate this entire video for some of you. It is what it is. I just like the character journeys a lot more in the other books. And it's not even, you know what? I'll move it up. I'll move it top of A tier. No, I'll move it. Oh man. Ranking Stormlight is hard because this is my favorite series out of here, but you know, can I just put them all in S tier? I feel like that'd be cheating. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I think when I first did my read of the Stormlight Archive, Words of Radiance is probably my second favorite. But now that I've reread them all again, this is probably going at the bottom. I think just like the character arcs just aren't as fulfilling for me personally, I think. That end scene with Kaladin and Zeth, absolutely fire. I'll admit that. All right, next, what do we have? What came out after this? Do we know? I guess we'll just finish. Now we'll go Alloy of Law. Alloy of Law. I'll put Alloy of Law C tier. I liked Alloy of Law less than I did Elantris, but I still really liked it. I still really did. I love the action. It's just like there wasn't like a lot of substance to it, you know? And I think it's because starting off, it was meant to be like not a full series, right? It's supposed to be just something, a fun spin-off or whatever. And this kind of like turned into Era 2. And you know, a similar reason, I'm going to put Shadows of Self here as well. But below Alloy of Law, I actually liked Alloy of Law more just because I think Miles 100 Lives is such a giga chad. I freaking love him. He's probably one of my favorite Cosmere characters, even though I have this relatively low. Frick, you know what? Miles 100 Lives, I'll move it up to B tier. Miles 100 Lives carried this book. The amount of aura that man has is crazy. Is that a crazy thing to say? Maybe. All right, let's go with The Emperor's Soul. I'm gonna put this, I think this is like an S tier novella. I have recommended this to people, but they've never actually, you know, read it. But I'm saying if you want to get into Brandon, you should try The Emperor's Soul. You might really like it. But like I said, nobody's ever taken me up on that and actually done it. Underrated. This might be the most underrated Brandon Sanderson novella, book, whatever, of all time. All right, let's see. What do we got? Let's get some of these out of the way. The 11th Metal, it was just you know. I think there was like a little bit of a teaser of Kelsier's like mentor, like I think Ruin speaking to him in his ear or something, possibly hinting or foreshadowing that. Let's see what else. The Hope of Elantris. I didn't read this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure this takes place during Elantris, but like during one of the events, and it's from a different POV, I think. And I started to read it like right after I finished Elantris, but then I was like, so I did after I didn't finish it. Let's do White Sand. I'm gonna put White Sand in C tier because I actually didn't read the graphic novels, but I did listen to the graphic audios, like those plays or whatever. I didn't mind it. They were okay. You know, I enjoyed it. I think that it's a good introduction to Chris or whatever. I don't know if these are canon, but it was a great introduction to Chris. I didn't really care for our main character too much. I thought it was kind of like the magic system was cool though, but I wasn't really attached to anybody. It just didn't really like feel like all that much. I'm hoping that when the prose version comes out, it'll be like way better and I can move this up. But for now, at least based off of the version of White Sand that I read, I'm gonna put this in C tier above the 11th Metal. All right, next, what do we got? I think we're gonna go with Oathbringer next. Oathbringer, I put this in S tier. Guys, I really liked Oathbringer. I love the Dalinar flashbacks. I love the Sanderlanche. I think Oathbringer has the best Sanderlanche in Stormlight. Just that epic battle at Thaylen City, absolutely insane. Kaladin squaring off against Amaram, absolutely fire. I love that. Seth being there, Seth and Lift. That combo is so amazing. I just get so hype. I've gone back and listened to it more than once or twice and read it more than once now that I have a hard copy with me. Best one. I'm gonna just say it. I think it's my favorite Sanderlanche so far. Dalinar's story. I love Dalinar's story so much in this. Bottom of S tier though. I think that this is going to be the bottom of S tier, regardless of what other books I put in here. Next, we have Bands of Mourning. I'm putting Bands of Mourning top of A tier. This book was so good, particularly Steris's role in this book ignited my love for Era 2. And this book might be the reason why I love Era 2 more than Era 1, even though for the most part, I have these other Era 1 books rated higher than Era 2. Bands of Mourning is where it got goated. The magic's always been insane, but the characters, I think, finally caught up to the magic system, and for me, surpassed it. Steris is my #1 Cosmere baddie, and this was really her book to shine. I freaking love her, and this put it God tier for me. Not God tier, but like A tier. All right, Dawn Shard. I'm gonna put Dawn Shard in B tier, bottom of B tier, not C tier. I think it's pretty far from C tier. Maybe not. Maybe I'll put it above Alloy of Law. Yeah, that seems right. I really like Risen. I really like her tenacity, her ingenuity. I think she's a very fascinating character, especially in the circumstances that she finds herself in. And I like the companions that she brought along with her. I like the lore dumps and more info we got about the Sleepless and everything like that. I think it was just a solid book. I think B tier is it's good. You know, it's solid. All right, next novella, we have Edge Dancer. I really loved Edge Dancer when I read it for the first time. No, I still freaking love it. I'm gonna put Edge Dancer also in B tier. Yeah, right next to Dawn Shard. I liked it more than Dawn Shard, probably because I like Lift a lot. I think she's hilarious. Her and Wendell, their freaking chemistry together is so funny. She cracks me up, and I love how she can be serious without being serious at the same time. I love the way she interacts with characters. I love the way she thinks. I love the way he moves around and slides around. Lift's one of my favorite characters. I do think that Lift in other books is better than in her own, unfortunately, but I know we're getting more of Lift later on, so I'm excited for that. It was just a fun read, you know, even though it did have some effects later on Oathbringer and the rest of the Cosmere, obviously because of like Nail and stuff. I don't know. It really did feel like it can be kind of just like skipped, whereas Dawn Shard, while not necessary for part 1, I think, of Stormlight, part 2, I think this might become more important later on. So it was a fun ride, but maybe I'm knocking points because it didn't feel as important. I don't know. Next, we're gonna go with Six of the Dusk. I finished this one sometime recently, late last year, and I don't really know what to think of it. I do think we're getting more of this world, so I'm excited for that. And I think it's coming out soon-ish, maybe? I don't really know. I'm gonna put this in C tier. I liked it more than White Sand, but not as much as Shadow of Self. Maybe I'm dogging on Shadows of Self too much, but I think if Six of the Dusk had been longer, I would have been way more down and would have enjoyed it a lot more. But it is a novella, so like, what can you do, you know? Next, we have, let's do Mistborn Secret History, top of A tier. Oh, I want to put it S tier so bad just because of how much the lore and the Cosmere expands because of this novel. Like, this novella changed everything. Do want to put it up there just because of the significance of what it means, but then I feel like I'd be throwing out my S tiers too willy-nilly, you know what I mean? No, top of A tier. I'll leave it top of A tier. All right, next we got, let's do Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell. I like this novella more than I like Secret History because of like my own enjoyment, but I feel like I can acknowledge that objectively. I think Secret History is a better novella, but Shadows for Silence, my favorite novella, my personal favorite. Well, this entire list is subjective though. No, I'll just leave it there. Don't ask me to explain any further. I know it's probably not making any sense, but I don't care. Next, we have Rhythm of War, baby. Rhythm of War is my favorite Stormlight novel of all time. The journey that Kaladin takes, Navani takes, Tef takes, those are my 3 favorite Stormlight characters, and this book was their time to shine. I loved them all so much here. This was the showcase of just my absolute favorite characters. God tier. It was perfect. When I first did my read of the Stormlight Archive, I had this as in last place, but when I did my reread, I appreciated this way more, and it just went from number 4 to number 1 for me, beating out the Wave Kings, which I didn't think it would do, but it somehow did. At first, I didn't really like the whole stuck in the tower thing, but when I was reading it again, I was just captivated. I was just captivated by it. I freaking love it. My favorite book of all time in the Cosmere. Crazy how I put Words of Radiance right below that. I know, I'm sorry. Not below that, right at the bottom. Crazy. I know, I would hate for that. All right, The Lost Metal. I think The Lost Metal is a great book. I love the Cosmere connections. I think because of those Cosmere connections, it's going to be up in A tier for me. If it didn't have those, I'd probably put it either really low A tier or top of B tier. I think I still liked Bands of Mourning more than The Lost Metal because I think that just the character dynamics and the growth and the relationship between Steris and Wax is just God tier. And I freaking loved it so much. But Lost Metal was crazy. I remember getting so hyped every time I saw any of the connections. I freaking loved it. This is like the Spider-Man No Way Home of the Cosmere, at least for right now. And I love Spider-Man. All right, let's do the secret projects before we get to the bad boy at the end. Sunlit Man. I'm gonna put Sunlit Man. It wasn't my favorite. I think it was my least favorite secret project. I'm gonna put it top of B tier. I really do like it, and I do like our main character. Spoiler. Sigil in this book. I thought the world building was one of the most creative that Brandon has done so far. I don't know. I really don't know what it was. Like, I feel like I should have been way more attached to this book than I thought I would be. When I first finished the book, I was like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever read. But now that I've had like over a year to sit on it, maybe I need to reread it again. But I don't know. Maybe I'll put it bottom of A tier. Yeah, I'll put it bottom of A tier just to respect my goat Sigil. I'll put it above Silence. All right, next we got, I'm gonna do Yumi next. Yumi's also going in A tier. I freaking loved this book. It was really nice seeing Brandon do like another kind of romantic-ish book. The dynamics between the Nightmare Painter and Yumi. I thought it was very interesting. I thought the world build was really interesting. I love Hoyt. I love how design's in this book. If design wasn't in this book, I might lower it down to the bottom of A tier, but I'm gonna put right now, I'm gonna put this, I'll put it next to Sunlit Man. This is a go-to novel. A go-to novel. I do think it's a little bit more inaccessible to people who don't read the Cosmere or who haven't read most of the Cosmere. Yeah, maybe I'll take that back. I'll take that back. But the most accessible one, I think, is Tress. Tress S tier book. This is one of my favorite novels of all time. This is the cozy fantasy without being a cozy fantasy. Pirates. I'm a giant One Piece fan. I freaking love it. I love the magic system. Boats. I love the freaking non-Newtonian fluids at the bottom. Goated. I love that so much. I love our character named Tress. I love our narrator being Hoyt. I love all the Dougs. This is the perfect book. Now, a lot of times in the books that I really, really love, I really like them being centered around like mental health or emotional or political messaging. And Brandon Sanderson doesn't really do that. Maybe he does with the Stormlight books, but you know, Tress wasn't really like too much into that. It wasn't like a super deep book, and I really do like the deep books, but like this is like my one exception. You know, I have a few, but like this, that did it, bro. Now, Wind and Truth. Where are we putting Wind and Truth? Oh man. Oh man. Wind and Truth I liked more than Words of Radiance, which is gonna be crazy to say. So I guess by default that means I have to put it here. But now I'm starting to wonder if I like these two, Wind and Truth and Words of Radiance, more than the others in A tier. And yeah, I think I do. I think I'm happy with this. I liked Wind and Truth more than Words of Radiance, mostly because of the character arcs were finally concluding, and I was happy with where our characters ended up mentally, emotionally, maybe not physically. Words of Radiance felt more like a plot book, besides for like Shallan's backstory. And then Wind and Truth, well, yes, it was very plot heavy with all this shit going on. It also felt like a very character driven journey, especially for Kaladin and Dalinar. And I'm very happy where those two ended up as human beings, emotionally. And so that's why I like it more than Words of Radiance. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this video, make sure you hit subscribe, like, check out all my socials in the link down below. Check out my wish list and my sponsor. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye bye. This is my final picture list.